What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Naked TV. So, last night I was going to do this video, but I just got uh, really sleepy, and I was wanting to do a response to Delphia's video. Hope I said that right. And Big J. So, Big J, I didn't look at the video. I pretty much know what you talked about. Don, you're kind of new to me, but I saw a couple minutes of your video and I already knew where it was going. And let me guess, black men bashing, black women bashing, gender war, social media, and black YouTube. Yes, I have a few things to say about that, but let me get into it. Okay, after viewing a few minutes of your video and hearing your response to Big J, yeah, I know. Not many, not many men. I know Big J sees the bashing that black men do, and I don't like to make videos about this because it's kind of a poison that is permeated. I don't like to talk about it only because no one, no, there are more people that like to complain about it and spread the mud and the poison in black YouTube of the gender bashing from left to right versus other people that really just want to say, hey, a new conversation needs to happen. And let me first acknowledge, I understand many of the black men on here, probably like 80 to 90% of them, spend more of their time complaining about the white man and complaining about how much they hate black women. And on the in kind, black women spend the majority of their time complaining about what we bring towards them, and they do the black male bashing too. Some of it's justified, some of it's not. My thing is, I acknowledge and willing to call out the bashing I see. It goes nowhere. I see what the brothers do. I see it. I don't want to mention other YouTubers' names. I understand up in that black manosphere area, there is a lot of female bashing. I get it. The brothers on there, they like to do it. They love it. They have a taste for it. They're addicted to it. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about trying to get financially independent. They don't talk about trying to have solutions. They don't talk about trying to how to not be a hurt bitch. They don't do that. They don't. That's all they ever talk about. I wonder, when are they going to stop talking about women, and when are they going to start talking about black male empowerment or the community? When and having solutions and applying stuff. The only person who really does that are two people, actually three. I want to mention: Jason Black, O'Shea Duke Jackson, um, Mr. Research, aka Q, aka Mr. Wolf, and a few others that I can't mention. Now, on the female side, I don't really know too many females that talk about female empowerment in relationship having um, solutions that involve black men. It's usually independent of what black men. It's like female empowerment without the conversation of the men involved. Okay, so on that end, and I will admit, I was a different person back then, 5 years ago. Might have been, I was part of that. I was a heavy criticizer and I guess inadvertently a very stuck up female basher. But that was my past. This is now. So, as a person who kind of like preaches a different message these days, um, this there should never be one or two guys that speak on solutions where both male and female can come together. That is never going to happen unless enough people come and talk about it, and it has to be talked about. Like, if you go to Jason Black's channel and his group, they talk about it over here. They Jason Black and his followers, they call out black women and black men. You go to one other avenue, Tommy Sotomayor. He just, well, you know what? I won't even put him in. That's more like entertainment. I can't even mention that. O'Shea Duke Jackson, Black Manosphere. That is more okay. Men kind of getting their shit together, calling out bullshit, not dealing with it, and having rules and regulations. Then you go to a guy I like to watch, Mr. Wolf, aka Q, aka Black Manhood, Mr. Research. He is probably one of the main guys that I see talking about stop complaining about women and talk about finances and getting power, and lifting up other black men. And no female bashing. No, don't talk about females. Politics, real shit, right? Now, on the female side, I don't know. That's not really something I know that females do. I don't know if there's a lady out there saying that, hey, look, stop complaining about men. Let's talk about black female empowerment. That is, I don't know if that exists on that end of the spectrum of the black female community on YouTube. The one thing I have noticed is that this, what you want to happen, and what Big J would like to happen, it is never going to happen if one side's talking about it and the other is not. I'll case in point, I used to be on TRS, then I followed there was 4 ladies I used to follow. Their names are not important right now. There were 4 ladies I used to follow. They had a radio show called Ladies Edition. And then there was another woman I used to follow her. Her name was Too Fly. There was another show, which I can't even remember the name of, that a lot of the black females, if not all, too many they don't want to hear their flaws. They just complain about black men. Black men just want to complain about black women. And then you have these two communities together. They're not willing to say, let's stop all the bullshit. Let's stop complaining about each other. Let's acknowledge the flaws and stop talking about each other and only come to the table to help each other and discuss the problems and then solve those problems. They just like to complain about it. You didn't come for the solutions. You came for to share the wounds, problems, and entertainment. Basically, to be, and that's our problem. And for me, I rarely, for me, I would say there are probably on my list of people that I like to listen to, there are probably more females than men I like to listen to right now, because I would have to go and secretly say that I've noticed that the females are a little bit more woke than the men on here, from what I notice. But on the flip side, it's like the men are more, they want to complain about shit. It's kind of like this. Like on the male side, more men complain, don't want to talk about solutions. They're in the minority. The men that are in the minority are the men that just like to have solutions. No female bashing. That's a very small group. On the flip side, the female side, it's like more women who are wanting more solutions, less female bashing, but there's no incentive there because the women that actually want to call up the bullshit that other females do, they get ignored. I've noticed this firsthand. I've paid attention to this. I've noticed that the females, when they want to come to a space where it's just them talking about black female issues, they're not going to listen to another female acknowledging the problems that other females have, calling out the bullshit outside of what black men say about them. So you're left with 2 big problems. One, males just like to bash. 2, females just like to complain about the bashing and then do retaliatory bashing and don't want to hear what their flaws are. We are never going to get anything done if that's how this space is. And until the voices of new black media becomes a bigger voice, and we kind of call out, say, hey, look, both sides need to just kind of come together, acknowledge that both sides are fucked up. Because I'll tell you this much: I rarely decide to have conversations with about black male and female relationships, because it's a I feel sometimes it's a waste of time. I had a conversation, a 2.5 hour conversation with a YouTuber named Lexi Darcel. I saw it. A lot of brothers on YouTube were like, okay. She said she had a crush on a dude, and she was having a hard time getting dates in LA. I'm in NorCal, she's in SoCal, Northern California, Southern California, right? And I had a conversation with her. It was a private Google Hangout. It was 2.5 hours long, and she wanted to know. And I gave her some inconvenient truths. I told her stuff about me that I haven't shared in depth with most YouTubers. I also told her things that she should never do in order to get the black men she seeks. Because I didn't give her the surface level bullshit of what's wrong with black brothers. I gave her the real shit that most brothers don't even talk about. Um, but that's one person. But I should never be the one to have this conversation with one individual. It should be hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of black men having the same conversation over the airwaves of social media to hundreds and thousands of black women. Both groups, not just an individual. It shouldn't be one man talking to another man, or one man talking to hundreds of men. It should be hundreds of men talking to hundreds of women, and both sharing dialogue. Because what I realized when I was talking to this YouTuber named Lexi, the problem of what's wrong with both of our genders, we have the same problem. It's just that both sides refuse to listen. Like, one's trying to tell the other, but and the other's, well, it's like men are trying to tell women something, but the women, they're they're used they're used to hearing so much bashing. They I don't think they are able to decipher the difference between an insult and an inconvenient truth. That's just my conjecture. That's just what I. That's just what I've. Because that's just what I've experienced. Like I don't bother with these conversations because, well, black men aren't, not too many black, on one end, black men aren't having the conversations that I'm having, and on the other end, the females, like I said again, don't want to hear the truth about themselves, and they only come to see what's wrong with the brothers. That's it. And between these two, and not enough people listening, and not enough people responding, because the thing is, you may have a lot of people who are hearing what I'm saying, or hearing what Jason Black is saying, or hearing what is said to whatever person they listen to, but they're not responding and having conversations. It's not being replicated. It's not being sought out. It's that the bashing, and what is the root of it? No one in mass numbers and groups is having this conversation. It's like if there's major YouTubers who have the same conversations I'm saying, but it's being said in different followings. It's not being said in multiple different platforms every day, and it needs to be happening in bulk. It needs to be normalized. But I do see what you're talking about, Don. I understand, and the thing is, I don't ever want you to accept the fact that things are the way they are between us, and that it's gonna stay. Because I don't think they should stay the way this is. This should never stay the way, the mentality that black men and black women have. It should never stick. This should not stay. Just because something is, should not be the way that it's going to be tomorrow. There can be change, but that change is going to start with you. There needs to be new people. There needs to be people's voices need to be stuffed out. And I think the only way, or one of two ways, I think only two ways that this can happen is new people start coming into the scene and having this conversation, older people who've been on the scene for a while, maybe they need to change the dialogue. And those who are already on here who's been having this conversation, they need to, I guess, some way, however they want to go do it, is get this conversation and get this mindset bigger, and you can you can snuff out the negativity and the unprogressive dialogue, non-progressive dialogue that's stagnant around this airway. Because if we're gonna go in this medium, I've always said there needs to be some type of productive outcome. Saw some dogs over there. They look kind of some Rottweilers, whatever. But that's what I think needs to happen. Now, Big J, I don't know. Now, I do want to mention one thing, Big J. I told you this before. I know you have a problem with pro-black people, but technically we're all pro-black here. If we're talking about this, we want to see some progression. Hey, brother, you pro-black too. But that's technically you talking about shit. You want to see some solutions. Technically, you progressively black. So are you, Don, and so am I. So you can't really say. Now I can understand you have some issues with the politics. I get it, but don't ever divorce yourself from that that term, pro-black, progressively black, because you progressively black. You just don't agree with the methods. I think that's just what I get from your thing. But I'm off. It's been about 17 minutes. I don't really make too many videos this long unless it's on my Twitter page. But I am out, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Let me see. I can see. Here I'm trying to. God damn it. Here I'm trying to I got my phone scrolled sideways. I'm trying to see. Let me see.